I got my camera covered up. Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out today's video. If you are new here, my name is Jonathan, and I started this channel as a way to record my progress as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds in 3 years. If you'd like to join the family, hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure you click on the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. If you'd like to participate in on the discussion, like Cindy and Pretty Girl's mom and Christy and Amy and Tennis and Yoga Girl here, you can join me most weekdays where I go live at 4 p.m. Central Time. If you'd like to reach out to me outside of the live stream, you can consider joining the Discord I created. There's a link for that down in the description below as well, or as down in the description below. Also, down in the description below is a link to a Pinterest board. A lot of times people ask what foods I'm eating on my diet, and that is a great place to get some examples of the foods that we have been enjoying. Today is day 747 of my 3-year challenge to lose 300 pounds. I've used a combination of extended water fasting and a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet to lose over 225 pounds so far. If anybody has any non-scale victories they'd like to share, I'd love to hear your non-scale victories. If you have any on-scale victories, I'd love to hear those as well. If you're struggling with your diet, what's causing these struggles? If you're succeeding with your diet, what are you doing to succeed? Let everybody know. And I think a big part of it, or something that's very important, is what are some of the things that you are doing to make staying on your diet easier than the alternative? Let's go ahead and switch to this and then hide this image. There we go. Excuse me. Let's see. Carrie's checking in saying hello. Hello, Carrie. Hope everything's going great at home today. Let's see. Pretty Girl's mom says, hey, the family is here. Even the Carrie, the wife. Yes, she is here. I hope everybody had a great evening. It is so cold right now. It's really a pain to go outside. It's been a little bit better the last couple days because it hasn't been so rainy. I'm gonna make sure that my camera's in the right spot here. That's where it's supposed to be. So, but last night, because of the cold weather, it was a perfect evening for one of our favorite staple meals that we had, or that we do have, and that is the Mega Veggie Chili. It was not Mega Veggie Chili Monday, it was Mega Veggie Chili Wednesday. That was what we had for dinner last night. Lots of great vegetables in there: carrots, corn, zucchini, beans. There was some lima beans in there last night, some chickpeas in there. Really great meal that I just took a photo of the whole Instapot. I could have eaten the whole Instapot's worth of the food. I did feel like I was very hungry last night, but I think part of that is also because I'm not eating the shredded wheat, which I have been using to help kind of create volume. Anthony, I did weigh yesterday. I was up a little bit. I am at 291.8 right now. I'm still down about 4 or 5 pounds in the last month. But I was up. Cindy says, LOL, I thought you were going to say the polenta with white beans. No, that would be wonderful. Hopefully we're having that for dinner tonight. It feels like it's been at least 3 days since we've had it, so it's got to be coming up soon. But yeah, so we had the Mega Veggie Chili, and then Carrie says it might be polenta tonight. That sounds wonderful. I took a bunch of photos of that, and then Carrie was out of the house, and I wasn't sure what seasoning to use on the Mega Veggie chili. So I had sent her 2 different, which is really funny to see that this is from Schnucks, because the Schnucks grocery store went out of business a long time ago around us. So I don't know where this came from, or if it's that old, or if it was this. And this is the stuff that I use on the Mega Veggie chili to make it spicy. And then, like I said, I was a little bit um, uh, hungry last night, or I felt like I was very hungry throughout the evening. So after dinner, and also because I didn't save Carrie a whole lot of Mega Veggie chili between me and the kids, we ate most of it. I felt bad, so we so I made some potatoes for when Carrie got home. She had an event that she was at, so I also ate a few pocket potatoes last night, just as they are. Then for breakfast this morning, we had our regular savory oatmeal with the spinach, mushrooms, and onions. No carrots in it this morning, but it is wonderful. I love having that for breakfast. And then for lunch today, it's really funny that this camera angle does not do justice how much potato this was, but this is in my big brown bowl that I can put a lot of potato in. There is a gas station near us that right now they are selling, I believe it's 5-pound bags of russet potatoes for $2.50 a bag. And so we got a couple bags of potatoes, and we'll probably stockpile on some russet potatoes because of the deal that they're selling them at right now. But so this is actually russet potatoes and not the golden potatoes with broccoli. Oh, I'm sorry. Carrie says it's 5 pounds for 99 cents. What? 20 cents a pound for potatoes? That's insane. I'm going to have to stop by and pick up more potatoes on my way home, because we could get enough potatoes to feed us all winter for that. But the amount of potatoes we go through, though, it's amazing. I was actually talking to my mom, who we were talking about this deal with, and she was saying that, okay, so I was way off. 10 pounds of potatoes for $2. The the she was saying that she'd buy the bags of potatoes, but they would she would never get through the whole bag of potatoes. And I laughed, because I think we would get through a 5-pound bag of potatoes within a couple of days, like maybe 2 days, if that was a majority of what we ate, or our whole family ate, was potatoes. We'd go through it very quickly. So yeah, that was lunch today. Carrie thought it was a bit dry. They are drier potatoes than the golden potatoes, but I really liked them. I did not mind the flavor difference at all. I kind of maybe even enjoyed having something that was a little bit different than the regular potatoes I'm used to getting. So that was my food for the last day. Christy says she's going to be trying the polenta thing last night. The only thing is your only white beans, my only white beans in pantry or pinto, so hoping those will be good with it. I think that we've had it with pinto beans, or we've used different beans than the white beans when we didn't have white beans. So I think it'll be good with the pinto beans on it for sure. And for me, the big things, I'm not sure. Oh, don't worry about it. Excuse me, I got this nasty cough today. I think I got it from my kids. They've been sick for the last couple weeks, and they've been passing it on from one person to the other. So one of the things I wanted to talk about a little bit today was the role that this processed food has in our overall weight and of overall health and well-being. Um, there's a lot of different videos I watch from different people talking about different diets and different plans. And some people claim that, this diet that I'm eating is the best diet. Some people claim that eating a keto diet's the best diet, or eating a carnivore, or eating a Mediterranean diet, or eating just a calories in, calorie out. They all have their own recommendations. And one of the common recommendations I feel that you see through a lot of these diets, and especially the ones that are able to be a bit more successful or show more success, is the removal of processed foods, and how having these processed foods in our diet is causing so many issues with weight gain and with inflammation and mood and all kinds of things. Rick says, "Hey, everybody, better late than never." Absolutely great to have you, Rick. And the um, but the processing of foods, and a big reason why we allow these processed foods into our diet is because of convenience. And with convenience, it's so easy for us to give up that that uh health for convenience, and we slowly do it over our lives, but eventually we are making, we can get to a point where we're making choices that are completely out of convenience, and that, for that pleasure trap kind of world we live in, where there's the motivational triad: you seek pleasure, you avoid pain, and you conserve energy. And these these convenience options all feed into that seeking pleasure and conserving energy parts of the triad. And it also in some ways plays into the avoidance of pain, in that the avoidance of using effort to do things, or effort. Yeah. And I always thought that there's more of a motivational square, in that, it's the avoidance of pain and it's the seeking of pleasure. But I think it's the conservation of energy. But I think part of it too is the consumption of energy. We have a drive to eat as much food as possible while conserving energy, while avoiding pain, while seeking pleasure. All of those things are happening. And when we have these highly processed foods that are super convenient, that all you have to do is throw them in the microwave and 5 minutes later you have a dinner, those seem very appealing and they are very easy to go to. But in doing that, you give up so much of your health and so much of what you get to uh, dictate about what you're putting in your body. And I had a professor, and if you've watched me a lot, I've talked about this before, but he gave a great example about how we give up our safety for convenience. And he talked about um, with cars on the highway. And if you look at the death rate of people who die on the highway, and you can look at those statistics essentially, and you could create an environment where nobody would ever die in a traffic accident again. And that would be great. You start off your sentence with, I can end all traffic deaths on the interstate. Everybody would be like, that's great. How are you going to end all traffic deaths on the interstate? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to make the maximum speed limit 15 miles an hour, and we're going to require that everybody is in a vehicle that has at least a 1 inch steel plated bumper and side panels and rear end. And that would get rid of 99 or all of the traffic deaths that happen on the interstate. but then that would mean to go 60 miles, it would take you 4 hours. Whereas now you can go 60 miles in less than an hour on most interstates. So we give up that safety. We put ourselves at risk because we're driving around in a gas powered missile essentially at 70 miles an hour for that convenience of being able to get from point A to point B quicker. We do the same thing with our diet. We give up convenience, or we give up our health and our safety for convenience. And when we are giving up that control over what's in our food, then we're allowing other people to dictate what's in that food. And when they are dictating what's in that food, they are going to put in that food what they think you're going to buy or what the most people are going to buy, and what's going to get them to choose their product over the other people, because we're in this capitalist market. So once it becomes once it gets into that market, then the focus is no longer on the consumer health or really concern of the consumer. It's more on making sure that they can sell to the most people, they're making the most money, and when you get to big enough companies, that their shareholders are happy. Anthony says you can eat healthy frozen food, but it costs a lot more. Yeah, and we do give up some of that convenience, that the monetary, some things might be more expensive, but if you can find a deal like we got here for 10 pounds of potatoes for $2, there's no deal on any other product in the store that I would think is that good for a good deal, like volume of food, calories that you get per dollar. um that is as good a deal as you're going to find. In some cases you do have to spend more money for frozen fruits, but the advantage to those frozen fruits is that you're getting very ripe, generally higher quality fruits or vegetables when you buy them frozen. What we run into now is when we go buy them fresh, that we end up with maybe one that's not as good because it's not in the peak season for mangoes. So the mangoes aren't as good as the frozen mangoes. Something that, we allow, and even buying the frozen food is having some processing to your food. The nice thing about frozen food, though, is that there's no additives put on a lot of those items. It's just the carrots, it's just the mango, it's just the frozen berries. Um, and so you're getting generally maybe a better quality fruit than if you're going and buying raspberries from your grocery store every week, because the raspberries might not be very good this week from the grocery store. Cindy says that's why it's so hard to eat. It's all full of salt, oil, and sugar. Yes, it's very hard to go out to eat. Again, the restaurants need to make food that's going to please the most amount of people. We do eat a very odd diet compared to the rest of the population. Um, I think it's funny, though. I feel like we eat a closer diet to a lot of our ancestors than anybody eats right now. There was no vats of sugar or oil or, large use of salt in the food like there is now. But those restaurants are trying to appeal to a lot of people, and when they're doing that, they're also competing with the restaurant next door. They need you to come buy their food over the guy that has an identical restaurant next door. So they might give you an extra large portion of food, or they might they might put cheese or chili on their fries, make it a little bit richer, make it a little bit more calorically better, like appealing to people, because people are just motivated by that motivational triad, the seeking pleasure, conserving energy. That's what restaurants are all about, is give them as much dopamine as you can get in them, and they don't have to cook the food themselves. They don't have to go through that effort to do that on their own. And in the world we live in, some people can survive in it, but it's not something that is natural. It's not something that we're meant to have access to these processed foods, and you can see the benefit of removing processed foods because it's not just a result that this diet has. Any diet that you look at, people see these amazing results at the very beginning because they're getting rid of these highly processed foods. The other foods they eat may be good, may be bad. Who knows what the best diet is? There's no book that says that one diet is better than the other. I would be willing to put this diet up against any diet. But the common thing with the diets that see the most success, especially early, is the removal of processed foods. Where other diets fail people is the sustainability of those diets. They replace, I'm going to try to get my focus back here. They replace they take that unprocessed food and they remove it from the diet and they don't replace it with anything. They say, just eat less food, just eat fewer calories. Well, to me, the diets that are going to succeed are the diets that remove that processed food and said, hey, here is a higher volume of food at a lower calorie density, and you will see much more success with being able to eat a sustainable amount of food than you will by starving yourself or eating low volumes day after day. And the two biggest things that you have to get rid of on any diet is the oil. It's as processed as anything gets. Um, and and anything that is over 1,500 calories per pound, probably anything over 1,000. If you're looking to lose weight, you really need to stay what Chef AJ calls left of the red line, under, I think it's 577 calories per pound, but it's about 600 calories per pound in food density. If you're looking to lose weight, maintaining weight, you can eat higher, and you may find that you can eat higher calorie density foods and still see weight loss, especially early on when you have a lot of extra weight to lose. When I started this diet, there are foods that I was eating that now I know would not be beneficial in my weight loss because they were enough different from the processed crap foods that I used to eat that I would see health benefit, or I was seeing weight loss benefits, but now they are detracting from those benefits that I was seeing. So, um, I guess that would be something. I don't know the exact analogy I could make, but essentially, you could make people a lot healthier if you got rid of processed foods and if you eliminated the ability, like if you could get rid of a huge percentage of the obese population if you just got rid of the fast food restaurants, not being able to go through a drive up, not being able to, to have to actually go in and sit down and be served food, like that would slow the process down. That would reduce the consumption of food that people have. Now, when I was overweight, it'd be on my way home. It would take less than 5 minutes out of my day to get 1,500 or 2,000 calories in a bag that I could eat on my way home as I was going home to eat more food. And that convenience and that highly processed food is what was making me fat. So you have to unprocess your food. You have to be willing to accept the inconvenience of this diet. The inconvenience of this diet for me last night was I couldn't have the shredded wheat, which would have only taken me 2 minutes to prepare, and then I could have eaten right away. Instead, I had to put the potatoes in the Instapot, cook them for 20 minutes, let them rest, so it took me a half hour. But by inconveniencing myself that half hour today, I'm going to see the benefits of the results I want to see on the scale, and it's going to help me live a longer, healthier life. And it's not like I wasn't doing anything else those 30 minutes. It's just that I had to spend 30 minutes dealing with preparing the food for myself. And I feel healthier because I ate a more simple diet and a diet that I control completely. I know what's in the food that I eat. I know the time that it took to make the food. I guess in some ways I don't realize the time it takes to grow the food, like that's definitely a huge benefit that we have with this diet and in this society, is that we have this abundance of food. We have the ability that there's deals some days where we can get 10 pounds of food for $2. That is incredible opportunities that, um, when our ancestors were trying to survive in this place, they didn't have that kind of abundance of these foods. They were definitely living a life of scarcity. Um, and Hedison Yoga Girl says here, preparing our own meals adds years to our life and life to our years. Yes, it's really does. It does. And it is nice to be able to, like I made that most of that mega veggie chili last night. I guess it was a team effort, but like being able to make my own foods and to be able to do it from kind of raw ingredients. A lot of times when I was making my own foods, it was from pre-packaged boxes or pre-prepared foods that I would get this elaborate meal with very little effort. Now it takes a little bit of effort. Like last night when I was cooking those potatoes, I was like, what would be really good is some carrots and some zucchini and some mushrooms and some tomatoes, and grill them all up on the stove top and then mix that in there. It'd be amazing. But I was like, man, all the effort I'd have to go through to do that tonight. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to eat the potatoes as they are. And I still got to eat a large volume of food, and it was satisfying. Um, Cindy says, creating good habits and holding ourselves accountable with food creates a healthy lifestyle. And Carrie says, and it sets a good example for our kids. Yes, it does set a good example for our kids eating this healthier food and getting to a healthier weight. Like I didn't really, um, yeah, I definitely didn't want to be an overweight dad. And I always, like part of getting ready to have kids, me and Carrie lost a lot of weight because we had difficulty. And at the time I was like, all right, I got this thing kicked, and I was heavier than I am now. And I was like, I got to figure it out. I was going to the gym 6 times a week for hours on end and eating whatever I wanted, but making sure I wasn't overeating calories. And my trainer had me eating cottage cheese before I went to bed because the cheese was going to help digest the food overnight or some crap. Um, and then, life got in the way and I couldn't go to the gym that 5 or 6 times a week like I was going to the gym. And I couldn't get that food that I had been, living off of that routine. It changed when, Carrie got pregnant and we had a kid. And I I gained a ton of weight and I ended up being that fat dad. And it sucks that my kid's 11 years old and I'm still haven't figured out how to be thin. Fortunately, my younger kids, as I get closer here, they're going to have less and less memories of me being that big. And really my older kids will probably have less memories of that. But I'd love for them to, uh, just to be, and I've the just to be normal. I just want to be the normal. My dad was just normal size, normal dad. Like nothing. He wasn't quirky or bad or like he's just another guy. And is and I know that my kids had gotten teased because of my weight too, which is really frustrating because um as an adult I know that it has zero reflection on my children how I look, but if they're going to get made fun of for it, um and there's so much of this, I think that people assume it's genetic. And if you looked at my kids, compared them to my size, you wouldn't guess they were my kids, because my kids have never really been overweight or fat. And but it is, your parents are, uh, can cause issues with that. So, um, and I remember the kids growing up who had fat dads, fat parents, some of them. Um, so anyways, yes, I want to be a good example for the kids. I want to eat good food. I want to be a healthy weight for them. Um, the last thing I was going to touch on today was that actually somebody had shared in a comment on my video yesterday, I think, a link to Healthy Emmy. And I checked out a couple of her videos, and I do really appreciate the videos or the link. The videos that I watched, they were really good and really kind of spot on for how I feel like um, the diet trend should go. It's so frustrating to be kind of in this position where I, like I said, I watch lots of videos and I see other opinions about different things. And like a lot of people pull up studies and talk about these different experiences. And one of the things that I look at when I listen to these and I think about is that all these studies that people are quoting and what's supposed to be the normal ranges for people, so much of that is based off of people eating diets that are not whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar free. And Cindy's asking if I find myself sick less often since going whole food, but I'm coughing right now. I don't know what the deal is, but yeah, I have not been very sick at all since going whole food, plant-based occasionally. But the and my kids aren't whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar free, but they, eating a vegan diet hasn't freed them or kept them free of illness. They go to those schools that are just filled with people with different bugs, so it's hard to avoid. Um, the Healthy Emmy I was talking about, yeah, just the the more people eat a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet, the more they're gonna really see the benefits and they're gonna understand the benefits. And even like today, I was talking to Carrie and she was lamenting about how she could tell that she's had salt in her diet the last few days because there's pain in her ankles and it's noticeable. And that is really what's amazing to me, is that when I eat a diet that's free of salt, oil, and sugar, I can tell a different and it's this focus thing is driving me nuts. It's not that I can tell a difference of like right now I feel great. I feel amazing. I've eaten very clean with no added salt, oil, or sugar. And um when I do eat something with salt in it, I notice immediately within days or within hours of water retention and just things that are happening within my body because I consumed those things, that um that it takes a long time for that to it's crazy how quickly it can onset, but then how long it takes for your body to like detox itself of that, of the sodium. And the the biggest shock to me in the whole world is that I am sitting here talking about, eating a diet of unprocessed this. I don't know if it's something that's my camera's seeing that isn't on the thing, but it just keeps throwing off the focus. I'm amazed that I'm eating this diet, but the villain that salt has become in my diet is really the most surprising thing to me. Um, and in oil, there's no place for oil in any diet. But between the two, sugar and salt, I kind of would have always said that salt is good, sugar is bad. And now I definitely say salt is bad and sugar is bad. But if you're gonna have one of the two, sugar's probably more likely is you're probably better off with it. Um and and that's just my opinion. I have no basis for that. I just know that if I have something with salt in it, I get inflammation in my legs. I get joint pain. When I have stuff with sugar in it, I don't notice those kind of things that happen. But again, once you start adding processed foods, it's really tough to get things that don't have both salt, oil, and then or salt and sugar in them. But then a lot of times they also have oil in them as well. Like that salt, oil, sugar. Um, you really shouldn't be eating any individual of them, and you definitely should not be eating foods that have all three of them mixed together in one food, because it's just like a dopamine ball. I mean, they are superfoods in that they give you that dopamine hit, but they are not superfoods in that they provide no nutritional uh, value to your diet. So with that, I am going to get out of here today. I appreciate everybody checking out the live stream here and watching the video on replay. I will be live tomorrow. I think that there's no reason why I wouldn't be live tomorrow. So if you want to check out the live stream, join me around 4 p.m. Tennis and Yoga Girl is saying Dopamine Nation is a good book. I think I've heard of Dopamine Nation. Carrie was just reading a book, the Dorito Effect. There was another book that Chef AJ had recommended when I was on that I wrote it down somewhere. I can't remember. That sounded interesting as well. Um, but Cindy, you're welcome. I appreciate you participating and being on the live stream here. But yeah, there's a few books I need to get another book. It's been a long time since I've read a book. I think it's been months since I've listened to a book. So I need to get one. I just feel like so much of it is the same information. So but that might be a good book to check out, because I think that is a major part of what is causing our health problems, is that we are striving for that next best dopamine hit, the next best thing. What's going to be better than the last one, or how is it going to be as good as the first time I had it? And so it's we kind of become a nation of addicts. So anyways, I appreciate the discussion. If you have not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. If you've not clicked on the bell icon, click on the bell icon. If you've not hit the thumbs up and commented down below, hit the thumbs up and comment down below. And if you have not started your diet yet, get started now. Get started today. Go to the gas station and buy 10 pounds of potatoes for $2 and cook them all up and just eat them and eat them and eat them. Just get rid of the processed foods. Get rid of the oils out of your cupboards. Get them out of your fridge. Anything that is these highly processed foods, you don't need them. Go back to scratch cooking. That's the way that we evolved, was by having to prepare and cook our own food. So go back to that, because if you're overweight and you're obese like I was sitting there going, I know that I wouldn't be fat if I didn't live in this environment. I need to remove myself from the dietary environment that's around me and create my own dietary environment. And so you got to get rid of the junk food, get it out of your pantries, get rid of the excuses to go into the gas station, get rid of the excuses to go into the grocery stores. You can order that food online, pick it up, have it put in the back of your car. You don't even have to face a single temptation with this if you want to. But get started right now, guys. I appreciate you all. I will see you tomorrow.